But these things I have told you, that when the time shall come, you may remember that I have told you of them. And these things I said not unto you at the beginning, because I was with you. But now I go my way to him that sent me. None of you asked me, whither goest thou? So he's going to the Father, it seems like. But because I have said these things unto you, sorrow hath filled your heart. Nevertheless, I tell you, it is expedient for you that I go away. For if I not go away, the Comforter will not come unto you. But if I depart, I will send him unto you. And when he is come, he'll reprove the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment. Of sin, because they believe not on me. Of righteousness, because I go into my Father, and you see me no more. Of judgment, because the prince of this world is judged. So no real revelation yet. At least I don't see anything one way or the other. I have yet many things to say unto you, but ye cannot bear them now. I'm not getting any inclination one way or the other. Are you guys?
No, but using other scripture, it's clear that he disarmed the principalities and powers at the cross.
Yeah,
In
but
a way,
it would be kind of weird for him just to throw that in there if it's Satan, just kind of gets thrown in the middle. It seems like there'd be a little bit more context.
In John 1, it does say he was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. And then here he's saying that the prince will be cast out of this world, and then he's saying he has to go away for a while, or he has to go away. So it's kind of interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any.
The negative tone of the word cast. I don't think Jesus is cast anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a positive thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Prince of the world. Okay, this gives a little bit of revelation, I think, here. Where it says the prince of this world cometh and had nothing in me. So, I mean, it seems to be a differential that the prince of the world has nothing to do with Jesus. Do you see that, Albert?
Yeah, can I go ahead and get another translation on that? Because, that seemed okay. Hath nothing in me.
So, I will not
But
speak with you much longer.
Wait, hold on. But the world must learn that I love the Father. Yeah, okay, so in this case, yeah, and how that reads, what did you put it to the easy reading? Not that one.
Okay, we'll go to the ESV. Seems to be the favorite of the group.
All right, I will not speak with you much longer. The prince of this world is coming. Okay, so the prince of this world would be Titus in this case, if that's the case, according to the last one you just had up.
Well, I'm just saying the prince of the world can't be Jesus, Titus, the Pharisees. It has to be the same individual.
It's not a supernatural being. It's a guy on earth. It's telling you about some sort of worldly, human.
I know, but you're not being consistent. A moment ago it was Jesus, now it's Titus.
I am.
Cosmos?
Go ahead.
Is that Eon? Is that Orchumene? What is that world there?
Let's see here.
That's actually a great question. Because that
Cosmos.
might just destroy the whole. Oh dear, the royal of this world. So what does that do?
Well, it makes it pretty difficult for it to be a man.
Why? I don't know what you're talking about. Why does there have to be supernatural beings? Would you not believe the Bible or any of the scriptures if there weren't supernatural beings aside from the Lord Himself or something?
Well, it doesn't change my mind one way or the other. I just want to go with whatever seems to be what is implied, and to me, implied is supernatural beings. But yeah. So back to the argument of timing. When would you say that is talking about in John 12:31, Alan?
I believe he's predicting his death and resurrection on the cross. Um, but because of other scripture, we know that Satan wasn't bound at that time in the sense that it talks about in Revelation being bound, that he can no longer deceive the nations, because he was deceiving the nations between 30 and 70. It's quite clear that he was doing that.
How was he deceiving? Can I just ask? How was he deceiving them? In which way?
Well, I was wondering
I'm
about
not.
that. I was wondering about that
I'm
deceiving as
trying to learn.
well.
I'm not trying to be like an a-hole or anything. I'm just trying
I
to learn.
was I was wondering about that too because okay, let's say Satan was from the beginning, let's say. Let's just go with that for a moment. So let's say he's from the beginning. Couldn't he have deceived the nations? Because the whole argument of partial preterism is that, oh, he's going to deceive the nations again. But couldn't he have been deceiving the nations the whole time and then be bound from 30 to 67 AD? And then he deceives them again just for those few years? But the idea for partial preterism says that oh, he was never deceiving the nations, so now he's going to deceive them again. But that makes no sense to me because it's like saying Satan never had any involvement with Job or any of those things in the past.
Yeah.
If you get where I'm coming from. I don't know if anyone else caught on to what I was trying to imply.
No, I saw what you were saying there.
Because the whole argument is that in Revelation 20 is that, and that's what changed some. That's where Bible Scribe comes from. It's where Matthew's come from. I believe that's where you're coming from, Alan. Again, is that the nations weren't deceived, so now they have to be deceived again. You know what I mean?
Right. And to me,
The
like,
1,000 years.
which nations are we talking about? First off, and then on top of that, like,
During the 1,000 years, it says that they're no longer deceived because Satan's bound. So the question you're really asking is, when was the 1,000 years? When was Satan bound and the 1,000 years begin?
Right. To me, it seems he was bound in 30 AD so the gospel could grow and go
again,
to the whole earth.
this also then now logically follows to the next question. What do you mean by 1,000?
Well, I mean, we don't want to get too complicated on it.
No, I mean that's what you have to do in order to conquer
Right.
this whole thing. You have to be like, all right, well, what do you mean by 1,000? Literal 1,000 or not literal 1,000?
Right. But we're all coming from
Qualitative,
different.
qualitative or quantitative? Is it really like, because the way that I have always seen that there's two different ways that the Bible gives the word 1,000 or 8,000. One is 1,000, which is the number, and one is 8,000, which is literally like any number. Like it could be anything.
Right. But first things first is the thing we're disagreeing on, or that we debate, is when did it begin? Not necessarily the nature of it or how long. Was it in 30? Was it in 67? Or was it in 70?
Right.
Those,
But I mean, like, does the
Yeah.
nitty gritty really matter? I mean, ultimately, like for me, yeah. So I would say like probably 67 or whatever, like 66 rather. Certain things began, and then it went through. That's when Satan was loosed again. It was just a short time. Those days were
Right, but
short.
when do you think he was bound, though, Albert? Any idea?
Yeah, the time he was bound was the time the disciples and Jesus were going around and they were casting out demons like unhindered. Everything that they wanted to do, except for certain times, they were able to do it for the most part.
So
That
you
was
think
when
maybe he was?
Satan, the adversary, was bound. People were listening to them. It's the adversary was bound, meaning the adversary has no power over it.
What caused the great falling away?
The great falling away, he said that a lot of people would think about it. If you started this whole process way back in the beginning, when you actually saw Jesus, and it's like almost 40 years later, you're like, dang man, like he ain't never coming, man. Like you would get to the point where you'd be like, man, I've been doing this for 38 years, like he still ain't come back yet. Like you really, like, that's falling away, isn't it? But other people would be like, no, dog, he's coming like any freaking minute now, right? That would make more sense to me rather than 2,000 years today, and we're just like, any minute now, man, any minute he's gonna come back, right? Like, which one makes more sense to you? That's all.
I mean, is there any scripture? Because I think the John 12:31 is pretty powerful because it says now and now twice. That there's a good indication that he could be bound then. If it didn't say cast out and it just said bound, boy, that would be, I wonder what the Greek word there, if it's the same.
Well, let me ask you a question, and this will cause a problem for that view. Let me ask you a question. When did the beast out of the sea in Revelation, and also the beast mentioned in Daniel, which is the same one,
Mhm.
when did he have dominion over the saints? When was his times and a half a time?
The times and half a time, that would have been 67 to
Yeah.
70 AD.
This is
Right.
this is the thing that
This
Ken and me has brought to the table. You got to define things before we start talking about them, because if you
Listen,
don't,
Daniel. Listen, Daniel, he shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a time, times, and a half a time. That's
Right. So
repeated.
Nero was persecuting the saints, and Vespasian was that whole time.
And then it's repeated in Revelation 12. It says that same phrase. It says that the dragon was angry, and he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the child, but the woman was given two wings of great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place where she is nourished for a time, times, and half a time. Same time, period.
Mm-hmm.
So the other question is, so if it was between 67 and 70 that this beast that's describing reigned and had dominion, when was the mark of the beast and the worship of the beast occurring?
no.
I would say it occurred from Jesus's time to that whole time, because I say the mark of the
Yes.
beast was the Roman coin that had Nero's head on one side and his right hand on the other side. And if they didn't use that coin, then they would be killed. And the only thing that they could do they couldn't use their own coin. They had to use the Roman coin. Otherwise, they were going to have famine and things of that nature, like it says.
Yeah, you
And
can't buy
so
and sell. Mhm.
And so that was the mark of the beast, that Roman coin.
And yeah, that makes perfect sense, because one of the beasts was Rome.
That's why they couldn't buy or sell unless they had that Roman coin. Have you ever looked at that Roman coin?
Yes.
You know how it's got a head on one side and then the right hand holding up on the other side.
Mhm.
But I see what you're saying about the persecution a little bit, trying to double those up, opposed to each other. But I was trying to find where it talks about that, because I see Revelation 12, but the persecution of the saints, is that in 19 or 14 Revelation?
12. Or the persecution of the saints, that was in Daniel 7. Or well, also Revelation 13, persecution of the saints. It's talking about the beast from the sea. And remember, he came from the abyss, and he was given authority to make war with the saints and to overcome them for a time, times, and a half a time. And the beast from the earth caused all to worship the beast of the sea. And
Oh, that sounds interesting. Wait, say that one more time. The beasts of the land and the beasts of the sea.
yeah, the beast of the earth had everyone worship the beast out of the sea.
Yeah, you know what that sounds like to me. That
That
sounds
sounds
like,
it sounds like the Jews.
yes.
Are you talking about the first and second beast, basically?
Yeah,
That's
there's two.
there's two beasts. One comes up out of the sea. That's Rome, and that's the one that the Jews cause the land beast which is the Jews and Jerusalem, to worship the sea beast, which is the Romans, Rome. So I mean,
Where do
I
you get
really,
the Where do you get the idea that the second beast? Because the first beast is the one that comes up out of the sea, right?
Uh-huh.
it doesn't matter which one's first. It just matters who came from where.
Yeah, I think I have a little bit of take on that because I think it's just talking about Nero and Vespasian, basically.
No, it's talking about Israel being the land beast, and it's talking about the sea beast being Rome.
Maybe you could expand on that then.
But the point I wanted to
you just read the verse. The verse said that the land beast is going to make everybody worship the sea beast. Well, what's up with that? That's them giving worship to we have no king but Caesar. Come on.
So I'll read it and then maybe you could expand on it. So, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. He exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in sight of men. And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had the power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or
So what was
sell.
now I'm losing track of what your question was.
Well, I'm saying, how does the Jews do all this, and why would they be giving support to the Roman coin? If it's this Roman coin, why would they be giving support to that?
Because they don't care. Like they don't
Care that they're going to get destroyed.
They were rejecting Jesus. Put yourself in their time. Like this is the whole point of the whole matter. Like it was for them. The whole warning was for them so that they would know. But if you weren't going to pay attention and you didn't want to do what they were advising you to do and you didn't heed the warnings, well then yeah, you're going to get burned. Right?
So why would the Jews give power to Rome, and then Rome is going to come and destroy them?
What exactly? But isn't that exactly what happened? Who did they give Jesus over to? Exactly, to the Romans. Who killed him? There you go.
Rob, we're getting a little distracted. Let me ask you this. You say that you believe that the mark of the beast and the worship of the beast occurred from 30 to 70. But the point I wanted to make is we know that the beast came out of the sea and was given dominion for 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it says that he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months. And this beast out of the sea worked in conjunction with the beast from the earth, who caused all those on the earth to worship him. And if they didn't, they would be killed. They would have to, and they would also have to receive a mark.
Right.
So my point is this: the mark and the worship of the beast could not begin before he was revealed. It was during that time. That was the time that Jesus prophesied. And once we understand that, I know that we all have these presuppositions, but if you just clearly just read, what does the scripture say logically? He comes out of this abyss. He's been locked down there. Comes out of the abyss, and he continues for 42 months. Talks about it in Daniel, talks about it in Revelation. And that is where you find the answer to your millennium question.
Right, but when did Nero reign, and when did Vespasian reign?
Well, we know Nero.
It was a couple of years. It was he died. He killed himself in 68, and then Vespasian had it by 70, right?
Right. 69.
Or 69. But I think definitely by 70.
So when you look at Revelation 20, especially the part where it talks about those, it says in verse 4, it talks about those that were sitting on the thrones and judgment was committed to them. Then he saw the souls of those who had been beheaded for the witness for Jesus, for the word of God, who had not worshipped the beast or his image, and had not received his mark on their foreheads or on their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. This is the first resurrection. Then it says, now when these 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released. It's directly relating the 1,000 years that they reign with the release of Satan. So if we understand that those resurrected were those that did not take the mark and did not worship the beast, it has to be during the time of the beast. How long did the beast have dominion? 42 months. And guess what? It says in Daniel, it says that
Right. I guess I'm not getting what your point is, because it sounds like you're talking that it was just 67 to 70 AD.
right, because it says here, it says, he shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, shall intend to change times and law. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a time, times, and a half a time. That's the 3.5 years. Then it says after that, but the court shall be seated, and they shall take away his dominion to consume it and destroy it forever. When was this court seated? It has to be after the 3.5 years, because that's the time he was given.
Where are you
Well,
looking at now? Daniel.
we're in Daniel 7, verse 25 and 26. And notice that it says, the court shall be seated, which directly relates to Revelation 20. I saw thrones and they sat on them, and judgment was committed to them.
Right. I see what you're saying. That's why I said it could have went to Hadrian, because Hadrian was the one that thought to change the times and laws.
Right.
And he did go for 3.5 years.
But also we have others who thought to change the time. You could go the whole thought to do it and did do it, but Julian
Albert,
calendar, Julius Caesar, Julian calendar, that is changing the times and changing the laws. Caesar might have wanted, I don't know.
Right, but
It could
this guy
just be a
came right after the
collective.
10 horns.
It could just be a
and let me
collective
ask you,
thing, talking about
Albert,
Romans, the
Albert,
Caesars and all that in general, not
when did,
necessarily like
when did
one
Jesus when did Jesus set up his kingdom? Began reigning. When is the kingdom given to the saints? Let me put it that way.
Have you? Oh, I'll let you go first. Go ahead, Albert. Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. So,
Oh, I was saying, have you ever heard my theory on Hadrian at all, Alan? I haven't brought it up in a long time. Gotcha.
Okay. But if you continue reading in Daniel, it says, but the court shall be seated, and they shall take away his dominion, talking about the beast, to consume and destroy it forever. Then the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms, plural, under the whole heaven, shall be given to the people, the saints of the Most High. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. We can all agree that was 70 AD. When remember in Revelation it says, now the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is that time. It does not happen before the beast is destroyed. It happens afterwards. And we know that the beast reigned for 3.5 years, which was the time of tribulation up to 7.
So are you saying that this 3.5 years has to be in the future then?
No, I'm saying the 3.5 years already occurred. I'm saying that the millennium had to start after these 3.5 years, had to, because it tells you the criteria for the 1,000-year reign. It says that they did not worship the beast or his image, and they did not receive his mark. They were resurrected. These are those that were killed during that tribulation.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't worship the beast. They were resurrected. When were they resurrected? When they sat on thrones and judgment was committed to them. When was that? Daniel 7 says it's after the times and a half a time. It's afterwards.
Where does it say that they're after? Just let's see. You're looking at 25 and 26 and 27, basically.
Yeah. It tells you exactly what happened chronologically. So that's why I mean,
So you think 7, 25, 26, and 27 is talking about 70 AD?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. And that directly relates to Enoch, the 8th week.
You still with us, Zach?
I tend to run people off when I start talking.
Oh, no worries. That everyone's interested in a little bit, something different. Other the end time stuff really interests me. Trying to put it all together and piece the puzzles together. And
Probably because it makes
Don't
me,
you know, bro?
God's given us enough to know.
End times. Time of the end. The sun is going to blow up and we're all going to just get vaporized. It's fine.
But anyway,
Like,
that's one of the reasons why I definitely don't agree with full preterism.
yeah, I
Because
know. Well, preterism doesn't believe that. But yeah. What's that?
so I was wondering if Zach had something, because I know Zach definitely believes that 25, 26, and 27 are talking about that same period that you would say. And I think it very well could be. It all depends on who's in verse 24, what three kings were subdued. Was it the three kings that Vespasian subdued, or was it the three kings that Hadrian subdued? Because they both subdued three kings, depending how you look at it.
Good question.
But how I look at it, we're not going to know exactly because I believe it's all talking about the angelic kings. It's not talking about humans. You'll see a reflection, and we did see that, but it's not really talking about them.
You think it's angelic kings?
Yes, I believe the kingdoms of this world that he conquered and took over were the kingdoms that had corrupted the whole world. He is now ruling over all of them.
But I mean,
yeah, that's what,
can I just ask? I guess it's kind of like a side tangent, but not really, because you were just. But the pre-flood people, like, what exactly was it that they were doing that they got killed for? Because according to what I understood from what the Bible was trying to convey, just without reading anything else, no extra, it was that man was evil. The heart of man's thoughts were always continually evil all the time, and this is why he killed everybody. He said, because specifically multiple times, that it was man, and he didn't ever say, like, oh, by the way, also because of these other guys over here who rebelled against me, who are the angels. You're like, can you direct me to that story so I can read it?
direct you to what story? Like
The story of, like, where the angels rebelled, either in the Bible or in the extra biblical.
Enoch, just start in the first chapter of Enoch, goes into great detail. But no, I agree with you, Albert, that that mankind had become corrupt and evil. All of his thoughts were evil.
I'm
in
sorry,
the
what
Bible,
was it?
the Bible doesn't give great detail on it. It just been two sentences on it.
Well, I know probably the next hangout we'll probably get into Genesis 4, 5, and 6, Albert.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, we started off with Genesis 1 through 3, the last hangout.
Guess I didn't record it. I don't know.
Well,
yeah,
what we were going to do was read it, have the Bible thing read it to us, and then start the recording. You did it. You started the recording right after we read it last time.
Well, I did hear you say that, and so I waited. And
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Uh-oh.
I don't think Zach was on anyhow. I think he was just in the background doing something at his house.
I do. I like, I once upon a time I used to love the book of Enoch and the book of Joshua and all these books, but like, I don't know. But now that you keep bringing it up, Alan, uh, like, all right, we'll take a second look at it. But like now with the new lens that I have, because like I said, I've come to the conclusion that about the supernatural entity. So if I can view all of what you're saying and bringing to the table, but there's no angelic supernatural strangeness going on, like that's what I'm interested in right now.
Yeah, I
That's
think you're going to have a tough time just being
I want to
consistent.
do
I
that.
definitely think you have a lot of great points. I just don't think they can be 100%. You know what I mean? So I think there's going to be a few individual cases that can't be consistent with the non-supernatural.
With my
Uh,
worldview, everything flows like butter. I mean, I don't have to force anything. Everything
yeah,
just fits.
yeah, that's. I do think you have to force a little bit with your view, Albert. Not a lot, but a little bit.
So
Sorry,
yeah,
my phone died.
I would love for Zach to
My phone died. I want to charge it. But
talk about what I bring up sometimes because he's the full preterist, or I mean, I guess there's other full preterists, but he's the one that y'all seem to indicate that knows the most or whatever.
What's that on? I kind of missed that a little bit. What you were saying?
I would like Zach to comment, on what I say sometimes about what
Yeah, I think he was just wasn't around. I think he logged in for a little bit and then I think he just had other stuff going on probably.
because you know what, I'm very open. At the same time, I'm just going to go by scripture, and if it doesn't jive or it doesn't click, then because I've
Right.
always just show me where I'm contradicting the word, and that'll be fine. It's kind of like what I just did with you. 30 AD contradicts the word if you say the millennium started then. It contradicts it.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from on that because the beheading and the witnesses and stuff like that. I'm working on putting something together because it's real difficult to pinpoint those exact timings and like clearly show it. I am working on it. Hopefully, I'll have something together here, but it's
You take most of the Bible literally. Obviously, there's metaphors and allegories used, but it's still talking about something literal.
mhm.
You know, um,
Yeah, I take it pretty literal. I definitely do think there's a lot of metaphor as well, or allegory, whatever you want to say.
I talked to one guy one time. He's a full preterist. He was trying to tell me that Revelation 20 about the beheading, that scripture about the beheading of the saints.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to show him exactly what I just showed you, and he said, "No, the beheading is talking about salvation. This is when you give your life to Christ. You're basically submitting to the Lord. You're dying to yourself, and so you become a Christian. That's all it's talking about." I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, I see a lot more literal in everything than probably most of the panel. I think you see a lot more literal as well, but
I think Jesus is literally in heaven reigning with his.
mhm.
I believe it. I believe that. We're not. It's not just a thought or consciousness. It's
Right.
we're literally there
Mm.
celebrating.
Yeah, I think it's a literal location as well.
Yeah,
And that we get a spiritual body that's literal or
I agree with you.
physical in some essence beyond our comprehension.
Right. I completely agree.
And if the eternal destination's earth or heaven, it's not really important to me because the important part is that we're going to be with Father and Jesus and all the rest of the believers in his creation,
Right.
and whatever it is, it's going to be. The problem, the tough part I have is, it says focus on heavenly things. Well, how do you focus on heavenly things if you don't even know what it is other than just the thought that, you're going to have that great thing?
Yeah.
It's like a challenge.
Well, you know how I've always talked about that there seems to be a lot of confusion, a lot of disagreements and debate. Uh, it doesn't matter what topic you talk about in the Bible. There's 100 different interpretations. There's 100 different beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
whether it's salvation, eschatology, baptism, it just doesn't matter. Everyone
Right. No one agrees. Yeah.
don't agree. What's interesting, we're looking at Book of Enoch, and if I think we're in the 9th week. It says that the righteous judgment shall be revealed to the whole world, and all the works of the godless shall vanish from all the earth. This, I'm hoping, what this means, like I've said in the past, is pure speculation. That in 2030, that he's going to reveal the truth to his followers. That he's going to pour out his spirit again, so that we know the truth. The righteous judgment is revealed, and the works of the godless shall vanish. So I'm hoping that happens.
Maybe you might have some insight. I was kind of struggling with this. It says, it says, I'll be the judge of the living and the dead. But then in Revelation 20, it just says that the dead are judged. It seems to be a little like a difference there, possibly, or.
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe that great white throne judgment is, if you're at that particular judgment, you're not saved.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you saying that.
And because of that, this is what I also believe, just like Peter says, I believe the earth will be burned up. And so anyone that's left alive will be killed. So the only ones alive are those that were saved from this wrath. They were caught up to heaven. So everyone that's in heaven is already judged. They've
Can't
got
you
the
see
righteous.
that also as 70 AD?
Righteous. Say it again.
I said, can't you also see that as 70 AD, the people being burned up? Like, they were all trapped in Jerusalem and they did get lit on fire or something fierce.
Yeah, I agree with you, Albert, that I think it's dual prophecy.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think the interesting
I think
thing.
in
Go ahead.
70 AD it's more of a spiritual sense, but in 2070 it's going to be a literal sense. This is when he actually creates a new heaven and new earth, literally. Where in 70 AD he created a new heaven and new earth spiritually, spiritual heaven, spiritual earth, in Israel. The temple and his new kingdom. That is the new heaven and new earth spiritually. But in 2070, I believe it will be physically. And I believe Peter was actually talking about that judgment when he was prophesying.
Gotcha.
What do you make of 2 Peter 3:10, where it says, "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, earth also, and the works that are therein shall be burned up." Because it seems to be that there would be, I know the day of the Lord, there were multiple day of the Lords in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Would you say that then the New Testament has multiple or two day of the Lords as well then?
Oh yeah, just like there's multiple trumpets.
Mm-hmm.
There was a last trumpet on Pentecost. There's a last trumpet on Feast of Trumpets.
Because I know the Old Testament definitely had more than one day of the Lord. So, I mean, it would be somewhat consistent to have.
I believe the thief in the night is talking about those that don't believe. Because he says that but you're not in the darkness, you're in the light. You will not be overcome like a thief. They knew. The saints in 70 AD were ready. I remember in Revelation 12 it says that they were nourished and protected for 3.5 years.
Yeah, that is where it does say they were protected for nourished for 3.5 years, because that's somewhat contradictory to being raptured or caught up, isn't it? Or are they caught up in 70 AD then, not at its coming? Because I was thinking they're caught up in 70. Okay. Because I'm thinking its coming is at 67, and then
His coming was in 70.
It was in 70. Okay.
His coming is after the reign of the beast.
Okay.
Remember, he sets up his kingdom after that. He comes to destroy the beast and Mystery Babylon.
But like, why does he got this big grudge? Like, why is he trying to do that?
Well, it's because they killed him.
Who, the beast?
Oh, no, I think he's talking about Jerusalem, aren't you, Albert?
No, I was just asking the question, like, why are they all mad? Like, what's going on?
You know, why does the fire come on him, you mean?
What? Just why is he trying to kill a dude? Like, I don't even know.
I think it's because they didn't.
I'm trying to ask random questions just to like throw monkey wrenches all up in this. That's all I'm saying.
But who are you talking about?
I was just asking a random question. I don't even
Oh,
remember what the question was.
you said, why does he want to kill the dude? Who is he and who is the dude?
Yeah, I'm just trying to. Yeah,
It's
there you go. I'm trying to figure out who this story is about and why
It's
they're
the-
trying to.
Big Lebowski. That's the dude.
Like, why the adversity, if you will? Like,
I mean, that's pretty much consistent with the Old Testament. I would say, you know, if you weren't on board, you were going to get the wrath.
yeah, but what if it was before the flood?
Where, I don't know. Where are you going with this? You lost me there.
Just like, then none of this applies because it's before the flood.
What do you mean?
Well, never mind. Let's just-
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back to Daniel 7 a little bit and look at that a little closer.
Yeah, because I don't know why full predators don't really dig into it. It's almost like the Lord returns 70. That's it. I believe it. I don't need to.
Oh,
I don't
dude.
need to. I don't need to study.
Are you kidding me? I would love to dig into it with somebody like you because every time I say something, you'd be like, "Flag," like, "Nope." Like, let me tell you my version. I'd be like, "Oh, interesting." I love hearing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Full credits are just like, okay, it's 70 AD. Well, I don't want to look into it anymore. It's like, I don't think we should have that approach, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, someone like me though, like I want to know, like just all like I'm interested in anything. So like, if you guys have something new, like I want to hear it.
Yeah, that's good. But I mean, every time I bring up Daniel or Revelation in detail, like I kind of do, it seems like Matthew and Zach don't want to get into it. And then if I ask them something about it, they seem to say, well, you know, that's a difficult book or that. I don't think it's that difficult.
Yeah, I think you can't really go that route. You got to be willing to look at the details.
I guess it goes like, are you willing to bend or are you not willing to bend? Are you willing to admit defeat when you're defeated or are you not? I don't know.
Right.
It's kind of something along those lines because, right? Like if somebody shows you something and it's clearly the correct thing and you still refuse to like acknowledge it, like what are you doing?
Right. And that's why I really, and I'm being honest, if I contradict myself according to the word, please show me. Because I'm telling you, I will definitely look into that. And if I'm wrong, I will change. For sure.
I agree. I would say the same thing you say. Exactly. I agree.
And that's when I bring up the issue with the millennium. I try to lay it out as simple as possible. And there's scenarios that are simply just impossible without contradiction.
Yeah, I definitely argued for a long time trying to get the same thing with Zach, and but then I convinced Armand that the millennium had to be, or not the millennium, but the millennium, but trying to think how to word this. That it couldn't be from 30 to 67, that it had to be from 67 to 70, because some of those scriptures that you mentioned. But I do think that Zach might be right about the 30 to 70. And like I say, I'm working on it, but I haven't been really able to put it all together in a nice presentation that would be overly convincing, because it's definitely challenging.
He believes that Satan's bound between 30 and 70.
Yeah, he believes it's bound from 30 to 67 or 66, depending on his view, and then loose for a little season. And then
So then from 30 to 67.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
see, that's impossible.
I'm on board with him. I know you're saying it's impossible, and I argued for that as well, but I do think that he is right. I can't really prove it
What I share
in
with
this
you,
moment. What's that?
even after what I share with you, you still think he's right.
Yeah, because some of this, it's hard for me to put everything that I've studied into words. I've looked at all those things we've looked at before. I'm going to look into them again while I'm working on this presentation until I got
How
it.
do you
Yeah,
resurrection occur?
sometimes actually, like, believe it or not, like sometimes looking at it like the second or third or even like fifth or sixth time, like then
I've
you're
looked at
like,
this.
oh my gosh.
I'm into the thousands by now, literally thousands of looking at these exact scriptures that we went over,
Yeah, no.
including Daniel 7. So, but definitely
That was a
gonna
metaphor.
look at it again. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
But hopefully, once I get the presentation, it'll make more sense. But I'm not for sure I'm even gonna be able to do it. But I'm gonna keep working on it. So the thing about it is like there's so many scriptures here and there, and so to like make a presentation, unless you can put those scriptures side by side, it's hard for people to conceive or put the things together.
You know, if you could rock, paper, scissors, but if you could describe yourself as some sort of thing in the universe, whatever, pick anything you want. What would you describe yourself as? Rock, paper, scissors.
Dolphin.
All right, so you're a dolphin. What do you want to pick, Alan?
An eagle?
Okay, so we
What are we
got a
talking-
dolphin, eagle, and
What
that
do you,
leaves me.
yeah, what are you gonna be, Albert?
I'm gonna be a Pop-Tart.
What flavor?
Strawberry.
There you go. That's a good one. All right. Let's see. Well,
Both of you are just trying to fight over the Pop-Tart.
that's what I was just gonna say. We're gonna have to split the Pop Tart in half, and Alan can have half the Pop Tart, and I can have half the Pop Tart. That's about where we're at right now, anyhow. So.
Yep, that's perfect. See, that was awesome.
Well, strawberry flavor doesn't exist, so I guess that's just a supernatural flavor.
Who told you that? How do you know strawberry flavor doesn't exist?
Well, that's only fitting for your consistent argument.
Is it? I love strawberries. Okay, like I will send you some. Except I like the white ones, the pine berries rather. Those are even cooler because they taste like pineapples, which is a whole nother thing.
Interesting. That does sound good.
Yeah, like how are you going to eat a strawberry? It tastes like pineapple. What the frig?
How much are you guys wanting to stay up? Because I'm definitely willing to like dig in some more, but I'm also thinking about sometimes it's hard to like focus on some of the things you said and then also keep the conversation going.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I recommend everybody in the group keeps a copybook nearby when we're on the Hangout. A copybook meaning some sort of piece of paper or whatever, and a pencil or a pen, and you write down the things as you're thinking them, and then that way you can't forget them, can you?
Yeah.
As they happen.
Well, the one thing that you ask for, and a lot of people don't recognize this contradiction, but there is an answer to it. But you'll notice the contradiction, and is that it says in Revelation 12 that the woman was given two wings of a great eagle that she might fly into the wilderness to her place where she is nourished for a time, times, and a half a time from the presence of the serpent.
That sounds so much like them fleeing to Pella. That's so great.
Exactly.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
you're exactly right. And Josephus definitely says that from what he understood, all the Christians left before the city was surrounded or before it got bad. which he says it was in early or late
And the
60s.
serpent, you said though, in the serpent though, the serpent is the Jews who were not believing in Jesus.
Well, in my view, the serpent is Satan, but
That is Satan. That is the adversary.
but
Adversary to
here's
what?
the supposed contradiction. Daniel, well, Daniel and Revelation says he shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High. The saints shall be given into his hand for a time, times and a half a time. It also says, what does it say? It says, shoot. Anyway, trying to find another verse. There's two verses in Daniel, but anyway, that's one. It says that the saints shall be given into his hand for a time, times and a half time. But Revelation says that they'll be basically protected for a time, times and a half time. So what gives? So you can look at Revelation, and it says the exact thing that Daniel says. It says that, what is it? Revelation 16, 13, no, in 13. It says, an authority was given to him to continue for 42 months, and it was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. An authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation.
Who? Authority was given to who to do this?
So what gives? How can the beast have authority and dominion and
Rome.
make war and overcome them against the saints for 3.5 years?
Against God's chosen people. Against God's chosen people. He was going against them. They were the saints at the time.
Nope, because Daniel 7 disagrees with that, because it says that the saints, the kingdom shall be given to the saints of the Most High.
Again,
So,
I
there's
think
a
after the
like,
3.5 years, though.
but
this is where Matthew from the group
the saints in Jerusalem that were not saved are the saints he's talking about.
there's a changeover. No, because there's a changeover at some point, and like the ones who are the believers are the saints, and not everybody who's there. Like you have to keep in mind what's going on here in the environment. I mean, think about it. Like, dude, like Jesus was here, right? So he was telling us all this stuff, like dang near 40 years ago, and now like we're still here. He said some of us who are still standing here would see these things before they died. Some of us. So like there's only a couple of us left. Like how much longer do we like, right? How much longer do we have? Think about it. And
What are you trying to say?
I said it. Maybe you didn't get it. But
Well, you said think about it. Think about the.
yeah, I wanted you then to think about what I just said. I'm not going to give you the answer. You have to figure it out.
Are you saying some of the saints were in Jerusalem?
No, I'm asking who are the saints?
Well, it says in Daniel that then the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms of the whole under the whole heaven shall be given to the people, the saints of the Most
Shall
High.
be, but we didn't even get that far yet. See, now you're jumping ahead. You're saying the saints will get the kingdom, but like, no, who are the saints in the verse that we're talking about? Whichever verse.
I'll go up. Yeah, I'll read
Who
it
are the
straight through.
saints here? See,
I'll read it straight through.
what is that word for saints there? And like,
I'll read it straight through.
You gotta watch out for all that jazz.
He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, shall intend to change times and law. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a time, times, and a half a time. But the court shall be seated, and they shall take away his dominion and to consume it and destroy it forever. Then the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms of the whole heaven shall be given to the people, the saints of the Most High. So in context, it's the same saints.
No, hold on. You have to read the last part of that all over again. Just the last part.
Then the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people, the saints of the
Under
Most High.
under the whole heaven, all the
If,
kingdoms under the whole heaven, new heavens, new earth. Think about this.
I agree. What are you trying to say?
I'm just saying, like, what kingdoms are they being given here? Like what
Well,
is actually going on here? Like, is this like a world melting? Like, everybody gonna die, everything's gonna be
I
reset,
guess
and
my
then
question
like
would be,
in the
I guess
future,
my question would be
or is
is
this all 70 AD? Sorry.
my question would be Revelation 12 and Josephus seems to indicate that the saints fled Jerusalem and were protected from the destruction, from the tribulation during that time for three and a
Right,
half years.
and so it's so interesting that it says that they were given the wings of a great eagle. That strikes me as super strange because, like, Rome, eagle standard. I'm just saying, like, ain't that some fun stuff right there?
So are you saying that Daniel 7:25 is in the future then?
No,
Okay.
no. I'm saying that if you believe that the saints were persecuted during that 3.5 years, which Daniel says they were, and that they were given over to the beast, but Revelation says that they were protected, how do you resolve that?
Right, I get you're going with that. I mean, it's can be one of those things where they're persecuted for like 3.5 years, and then in the end they're saved, maybe.
But remember, they were protected for 3.5 years.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where you could be like going through. It's hard to put that together. You'd have to read
That's
Josephus a little bit
that's why you
closer in
gotta.
detail.
No, you just gotta keep track of who it's talking about at all times.
Yeah, it's
Like,
talking about the same people though,
how do you know?
because it says they'll be given the kingdom.
Who's going to be given the kingdom?
The
I'm going to be like your
believers,
English teacher.
believers, saints is
Believers are going to
talking
be given the kingdom. So where did you get that from the text?
Daniel
Tell me where in Daniel. You can't be so
7,
vague. See, this is the problem.
7:24 through 7:27. The
All
one
right, and
that
what does that say?
he just read it to you.
It does, well, read
Yep.
it again.
It's given to the people. My contention, which offers a solution that there's no contradiction, is yes, the Christians on earth were the saints, were the saints. But there were also angels in heaven that obeyed God instead of worshiping the beast, and they were saints as well.
Right.
And I believe the beast, which was an angel, was given authority and dominion over these angels and could actually kill them because he was given the sword of God, just like he was killed before. And for 3.5 years, he killed millions and millions of angels that served the Lord instead of serving Satan. And that these are the saints that were given into his hand because he's angelic. The Christians were protected on earth.
Gotcha.
That's how I see it. And if you read it that way, there's no contradiction at all.
But
If you understand that the
they're
beast,
kind of. I can think of one. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can.
No, go ahead.
Maybe you have but there is a verse in the Bible that says, right? It says they will be like the angels, and they can no longer die. Right. I did hear you just say
Yeah,
something
we've talked
about angels died. That's all.
right.
Maybe you misspoke
Yeah.
or something. I don't know.
We've discussed that before.
Yeah, we don't have to go into that. I was just saying, like, it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think it's talking. Obviously, God can kill an angel.
You think?
But again, but why? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. That's what I'm trying to
That-
say. Like, why he's gonna create all these dudes, and then these dudes are gonna rebel, not us, but them. Like, first
Yeah, but
off, I thought it
why
was
would
about
he
us
kill
and the fact
people then?
that we screwed up. He killed all the men on the earth, not the like. Yeah.
Yeah, but if he kills people, why can't he kill angels?
Exactly.
I'm not saying he can't kill angels. Go ahead, let him answer.
Yeah, the Lord, He can create and He can destroy. He can kill anything He created.
Of course he can, but it doesn't make sense to me that he's going to create these beings. He's going to be like, you know what? All of you are going to be super obedient to me, except for you ones who rebel. That's what the humans did.
Right? That's the
And then now
misconception.
you're going to change it. Now
Why
you're going
can't?
to change it into supernatural beings, which are not
That's the
us.
misconception you have.
Yeah, but if
But
humans
what
rebel, why can't angels?
hold on. Let me finish, and then you can talk. But I'm just saying. So all I'm saying is when they're saying when the angels rebelled, all I'm saying is nothing different than Korah and his rebellion. It's the higher ups,
We get that.
the high priest class.
That-
It's always humans. There's never any time where there's any supernatural beings involved here at all.
But why can't they?
There can be, but there's no need for them. You tell me why there's a need for these kinds of guys, and then then I'll believe you. You convince me. Like, you have to pitch this to me. Like, suppose like you want a job or something. Convince me.
Why would there be a need for supernatural beings?
Why? Just convince me of whatever you're trying to convince me of.
Well, I think
Well,
you
I'm
know.
just trying to convince you that if humans can rebel, there'd be no difference in any of his creation can rebel. It's just A plus B equals C logic.
I got no problem with that. Except now you're adding the fact that he created supernatural angels, where I don't see that anywhere. Actually, sorry, I don't
But
see him
I would say
creating these
that's in
guys anywhere.
Psalms, I would say.
Okay.
how do you want
First-
to argue for something that you? I mean, we have to argue from the point of view that
Actually,
we believe in angels. But every time
no,
we do that, you
have
act
to
like
no.
our
Yeah,
argument is fallacious because there's no such thing as angels. That doesn't make sense. You can't do.
you have to prove that there are supernatural angels.
No, we don't have the burden of proof. We have scripture, and
What?
no,
Like, no, I'm with you. Like,
I mean, you act like
we're both
you don't
we're
have-
both using scripture.
right, but you're
We're
acting
just
like you're acting like you have no burden of proof. That we're the only ones that have the burden of proof.
but you're the one that's saying that there's this kind of entity out there, and so
But
therefore
you're
it's on
saying
you.
there's not. So there's no, it's not on anyone. It's on everyone.
It's just like
Right,
me
on both.
telling you right now, right? Ready? Check this out. I'm gonna hit you with one. All right, so it's like me telling you right now, like Sasquatch 100% Bigfoot exists, and then what are you gonna tell me? You're gonna say the burden of proof is on you. Why? Because
Well,
I
that'd be
asserted that the Bigfoot. I asserted that the Bigfoot exists.
You're using an
And so
atheist
the burden of proof
argument.
falls on me, does it not? You can't worm
Right,
your
we
way
share
out of this
scripture.
one, Peter.
You're using the same argument as does God exist? So
No,
then
no, I'm not.
yeah.
No. Don't try to muddy the water. Mm.
That's true. I guess we got to prove to Albert God exists.
No, see, because like, why do you have to resort to that? Let's talk about the thing that we were just talking about. Let's not talk about like I obviously believe God exists. Like,
I mean, it seems like the only proof that would work for you is that an angel visited you.
well, maybe you
This
were
is
an
how-
angel, but you didn't visit
This is
me.
this is how Albert. This is how I see the way you view angels. It would be like me saying God is just a very important man on earth.
No,
Yeah.
because the angels, I believe, like if you read the scriptures all through it, starting from the beginning, going to the finish at the end, you'll see the angels that are like he's like, if any of us who are us, the disciples, the apostles, or any angel of heaven What does that mean? That means a messenger of the temple, something like this. This is a higher up. This is a high priest, a priest, something like that. This is what that's talking about. This is
Let me ask
not
you this.
ever talking about anything else. It's saying, like, if an angel comes to you and tells you something different, don't believe him. Now, if an angel of God came to you, like a legit supernatural angel came to you and was going to tell you something, you could be like, you know what? I don't believe you, doc. I don't
What
believe you
about
because you haven't proven yourself. Like, what?
what
Do we
about
really have to do that?
cherubs? Are cherubs real?
It's really not an argument, really.
I'm just saying, do we really have to do that? Like, I don't think we do.
How about cherubs? Are cherubs different than angels?
I don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out. Like,
Well, I'm just saying, are
we do-
cherubs real?
we have a cherub expert here.
No, in your opinion, are they real, Albert? Are cherubs
No.
real?
No, I don't know. I don't know what a cherub is. I have no idea. I literally have no idea what it is. I'll trust your
No.
guys' what you say, but I still have no idea what it is.
I know, I don't like to appeal to authority, but when 99.999% of all scholars, Jewish scholars, Hebrew scholars, Christian scholars, unbelieving scholars, history of the world, people that have gone through history, all say that it's talking about actual angels,
You
supernatural.
have to ask yourself why they believe that. And
Who would you say descended on the tomb?
who descended? The angels that were on the tomb that rolled the stone back or whatever that they
Right. Mm-hmm.
saw. If you look at
Now,
that
what
same
Pharisee was that?
encounter in a different gospel or whatever, a different whatever it's called, then you'll see that it describes the same beings as two men.
That they
Do you know
descended?
men that- Do you know
No,
that
yeah.
angels are men, right? Supernatural men.
They're not supernatural men. They're just dudes. They're regular dudes like you
Yes,
and
they're
me who might
supernatural
be in the
men.
know. So imagine, like, right after, like, because we believed, right? All of us on the group here, we all believed. So we would be the ones who would go to the tomb, and so we would be the two standing there. And when the guy got there and was like, "Oh, you didn't know?" It's like we'd be like, "Oh yeah, hey, by the way, didn't you know? Like, this is the guy that you were looking for. He's not here anymore. That guy, he's gone. He went over that way."
I'd like to
That
just
would be
know how these men, I would love to
they're just men.
know how these two men were going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh, so see now we have to jump back to the Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, that's
Why
fine.
not?
We can jump
Why
anywhere.
not?
We can jump anywhere.
No,
you
that's
want.
fine. That's fine. It does say in the one verse that they, the angels, were going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. But then another verse says
Right,
that
so why
a different guy is going to
fight
destroy it.
Albert, why fight it? Just let it interpret itself.
I'm not fighting anything. I'm just asking questions.
you
Like, think
are.
about this. Can
You
I
are
ask you a
fighting
question about? Can I ask you, since you brought up Sodom and Gomorrah? Can I ask you a question? Like, I'm not sure. I think about these things. I don't know if you think about these things, but
What
so,
does
all
an
right,
angel? Does an angel
let's
hurt
hey,
you?
let's suppose I don't even know what an angel looks like, and I am a resident of Sodom or Gomorrah. You pick the city. Doesn't matter. We're there. Lot's there. The whole thing, right? So somebody's getting blinded. But now, seriously, come on now. I know where your house is. I know who you are. I know who is with you. You have these strange people. I'm coming with you. I wanna, right? If I'm a Sodom and Gomorrah, I wanna have sex with this person, right? That's what you're thinking. I wanna just like, as soon as I see him, I just wanna have sex with him. Immediate. What are you doing?
Yeah, but you know why he doesn't want angels to be real, don't you, Helen?
Oh, come on, stop. Don't interrupt the story for that.
No, the whole reason that you don't want angels to be real is because you don't want Satan to be influencing people today because you don't think that that's
Because
fair. That
Dog, you're Satan right
no, I mean that is
Well,
that
the good
is
news
that is
Satan is
the
bound, right?
You're Hasatan, dog.
I mean it's not that you're using the biblical, it's a more personal preference.
Now I don't even remember. Good job on diversion.
I mean it seems like you are fighting it for personal preference more than using the Bible though.
I'm not. I'm totally using it. It seems exactly what you said reflected right back at you. It's called spell reflect. You get it right back.
Well, we don't want to be casting spells on one another.
I play World of Warcraft. My bad.
I hear you. Trying to think what would be, because I mean, a lot of the things that I would use would be the angel of the Lord, and you would just say, well, that's Jesus.
The angel lord? Well, of course, Jesus is the angel lord.
And just you got to know though, when they
Who-
appear, they look like men. Angels look like men.
Why do they look like men? Think about that just for once. Just
We're going to be like
pause
the angels.
and pause,
We're
and
going to be
just
like
think.
the angels when we get resurrected.
Why do the angels look like men? You know why they look
Because
like men?
God created companions.
It's
God
because
created
they
people.
are men.
Oh. Is God
I
supernatural?
still love you though.
Is it possible that God created a supernatural being, an angel?
Oh, dude, it's totally possible, dude. It's totally like.
And why do you fight so many scriptures?
How about,
Dude, how many scriptures see? But that's the
All
thing.
of them.
okay,
I'm with you
seraphim,
to a point, but then when
cherubim.
you show
know
me
how
the
many other
scriptures, and then I can eliminate them one by one.
No,
then
see,
there are none left.
I can eliminate them one by one. Isn't really the attitude I think you should have. You shouldn't say I'm going to eliminate them. You should say, show me which is true.
It's
When you
same.
say I'm going to eliminate them, that's kind of the concept that I'm gonna win no matter what.
Oh, okay. I feel you. All right, fair enough. My bad. I'm not trying to be an elitist or anything.
Yeah,
I mean, I can definitely appreciate the Genesis 6 aspect that that could be men, but to then take it a step further to say that angels don't exist, I think has went too far.
Well, then, can I challenge you to a little friendly duel? You show me all the verses that you can conjure that
I mean,
prove.
we've shown you plenty of verses. Why you don't want to?
No. I'm just saying, if you want to, you don't
We
have to.
have shown you plenty of verses. You should have believed by now, in my
Okay,
opinion.
well, I want
Any
you to
either.
consolidate them and bring them to me. Otherwise, I quit.
Oh, just search
No,
angels.
I'm just kidding. I just wanted you to pay attention for a second. I'm not quitting. Fuck.
I mean, just search angels. I mean, there's lots of
No,
verses on
but
it.
if you're not willing to do it, okay, that's fair enough.
I mean, we have done it before.
Do it again.
Okay, so the two angels in Sodom.
Again, we're not doing it right now.
Okay, gotcha.
I know what you're
thought you
saying.
wanted.
I know what you're saying. The two angels that like that's
For-
what I want to look at.
How about for thou has made them a little lower than angels? So
Exactly. So think about what that's saying. That's a good one. Perfect. Can you read that one? Because that's a perfect one to go over.
for thou hast made him a little lower than angels and has crowned him with glory and honor.
And who is that it's speaking about?
Christ.
There you go. And what was he made a little lower than? The
Angels.
upper class, the priests, and all that jazz.
Christ is the high priest, but you're going to have him made lower than the priest?
He's not the high priest yet, Peter. Dang
Here
it.
you go,
There's an
Albert.
order of operations here.
Here you go, Albert.
Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Dang it.
This is Satan talking to. Hey, Albert. This is Satan talking to Jesus. He says, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, He shall give His angels charge over you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against the stone."
And what does that mean?
How could a man catch him in the air?
Right.
I mean, clearly they didn't understand
don't
what the
fight.
scriptures were talking
Don't
about,
fight.
and that's why they're asking
Hey.
him absurd things. And he was like,
Yeah,
What
let's
was his
just
reply?
analyze instead of like kind of bending. Let's just analyze that for a moment.
yeah,
Jesus
Okay.
Jesus is up on a temple, and
Yeah, okay.
he says
All right.
jump. He says jump. How could any man save him from hitting the ground?
Is
Right.
that what it's saying?
Yes.
What else? What else could it be saying?
Don't fight it, Albert.
I'm
Don't
no.
fight it.
See, read the passage again. Is that what it's saying?
Yes.
Don't
devil
answer it
took him-
before we read it again. You have to wait until we read
Yeah.
it again, then you can answer.
The devil
Somebody has
took
to
him
read
up
it again.
into the holy city, set him on the pinnacle of the temple, and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down. For it is written, He shall give His angels charge over you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him, "It is written,
Oh.
do not tempt the Lord your God."
So I can totally hear everything that you just read. Even in the version that you read, I could read that a completely different way from what you guys are taking it.
You need to print this
Way
out,
different.
put it on your chest, and go to sleep with it.
I can easily sleep with it. Yeah, it's not a problem.
What book and verse was that?
Matthew 4:6. And
I
then
mean,
it
you do
says,
have.
right after that, it says, "Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and ministered to him."
Yeah,
So the
there
first
you go.
thing-
Exactly. That proves my point even further. Then the devil, not a single person, not speaking about one specific entity, but then that particular devil, the devil, left him. That the dude that was trying to offer him all this stuff, and angels, messengers, they ministered to him. These are people like. These are people. There's not invisible people coming to him and be like, "Good job, dude. Like you got that demon guy." Like think about what you're thinking about.
Okay, the Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and those who practice lawlessness, and will cast them into the fiery furnace. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Yeah, of
How,
course.
how do men cast them into this fiery furnace?
What's the fiery furnace that it's talking about?
Gehenna, like a fire.
And what's that? Jerusalem.
No, it's not. That's at
It
judgment.
is. No, Jerusalem 70 AD is the lake of fire.
Yeah. Fire-
That's why the second death has no power over the people who listened to what the Lord said. It has no power over them because they're not
I
trapped
don't know
in
why you're fighting this
Jerusalem.
so much. It's pretty easy to let the word just flow.
I mean, hey,
I'm not sure why you're fighting it so much.
I'm curious to see what the comments on this video are going to be, if there's any. I hope there are, but they probably won't even comment. Nobody will say anything, and we won't even get anywhere.
So, who
I
are
don't
the
know.
12
What do you
legions?
guys think? Do you think we should quit? Should we quit doing the Hangout, or should we continue?
How about Revelation 14:6?
Oh, let's go there.
Well, while you're going there, I'll read this. Put your sword in its place, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword. Or do you think that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he'll provide me with more than 12 legions of angels?
Yeah, no doubt. But what if I have a gun?
Where are these angels coming from?
12,000 angels, messengers.
Go to
Exactly.
Revelation.
What are the angels? That's what I'm asking you. What are the
You said you
angels?
didn't believe me.
You're saying they're supernatural angels. I'm saying those are dudes. Those are like soldiers or something like that. Like they're anything, really.
So we're going to be made like the angels. When we're resurrected, are we going to be supernatural?
No, because see, like that's not what it's even talking about. It's not talking about that you're going to be supernatural and you're going to be like supernatural angels and you can no longer die in that way. The death that it's talking about.
How can you not believe in angels and play World of Warcraft?
The death that is not because there's no angels. There's a spirit reser, but dang it, you disrailed me.
Okay, Revelation 14:6. All right. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven.
Okay, that's great. That doesn't mean anything. Fly, you fools. Watch some more Lord of the Ring.
What does that
Fly,
have
you
to do with the?
fools.
What
He's
does
not telling them to literally fly. He's
what
telling
does
them
that
how
have
to
to do with
run.
the? What does that have to do with the Bible?
Fly, you fools. He's telling you to run. He's not telling you to freaking literally.
Okay, so how do you run in the sky?
You don't. It has nothing to do with the sky. Like, dang it.
I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven.
It's telling you an angel is moving in the temple. It's not. It's a metaphor. It's a hyperbole. It's not telling you like literally there was a dude flying around over here like Icarus or dude who too close to the sun, Archimedes and whatnot.
Why wouldn't it mean that?
Why would it? You tell me. You're the one that has to prove it. I'll believe you if you can. If you can prove it to me, I'll believe
Because
it.
God can create things that are more amazing than humans.
Okay, well, I'm going to need a little bit more than that. Most people would.
So
They'd be like, all right, well, that's cool and all.
God created the earth.
Well, that's
now
great.
there were
I'm
in the
still not
same country
convinced.
shepherds living out in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. And behold, an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them. And they were greatly afraid. Then the angel said to them, do not be afraid, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which will be to all people. For there is born to you this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of heavenly hosts, praising God and saying, glory to God in the highest, and on earth good peace, goodwill toward men. So it was, when the angels had gone away from them into heaven, that the shepherds said to one another, let us go to Bethlehem. Who is that?
Interesting. Where is that?
Luke 2.
Luke 2?
Yep. Luke
Luke
2, 4,
just
2, Luke 2, 11 through 15.
okay. Luke 2:11 through 15. All right, I'm writing that down in my copybook. I'm gonna check that one out. Good one. Thank you, brother.
You're welcome.
How about Colossians 1:16?
Oh, you gonna bring some fire too? Okay.
So we were talking about, why would God create supernatural? For
Okay.
by him were all things created that are in heaven. I mean, wouldn't God want some people or entities around him? He doesn't want to just be in heaven by himself,
How do you know that?
because it says, for by him were all things created that are in heaven.
Yeah, but how does that imply that he's lonely and he needs you to help him out?
Because
It doesn't follow.
because it says he created things that are in heaven.
Well, of course he created all things in heaven, but like he doesn't need you to entertain.
I'm not saying me, I'm saying angels, cherubim,
He
seraphim.
doesn't need. They don't need entertainment.
With your logic, why would he create man? I mean,
Well,
that's true. Why would he create man?
well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like
Well,
I'm
you
trying
said
to grasp why he would do these things. That's all I'm really asking.
Well, we have no idea really why he created something. Than it says for his, I think it says for something like his entertainment or something like that.
Well, no, I said that, but
I think it says somewhere in the Bible something like that for his.
no, it says that. Yeah, it says that everything was created for him, by him, and through him, and nothing was created unless it was created through him.
Right, but I think there's somewhere it says something like for his entertainment or for his joy or something like that.
Sure. Okay. Maybe for his joy, entertainment, whatever. That's fine. Doesn't matter.
So it created things that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible.
Right. And then he tells you what the invisible and visible things are. Principalities, powers, right? Like,
heaven
isn't that
and earth.
invisible? Like, if the mob has some sort of stranglehold over you, that's invisible. That's invisible power.
But where is that?
I was
Colossians
just
what?
saying that.
Colossians 1:16.
Oh, but that's good. Colossians 1:16. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, go to it. Read the context. It's contrast.
How about this one, Albert? How come angels don't die?
Yeah, good question. Why don't you ask yourself that? Why do the angels not die?
Well, don't messengers die? You always claim they're
See,
just messengers.
First off, you have to tell me what an angel is.
Well, you know what we're talking about.
No, I don't. Actually,
Come
you
on
have to.
now.
No, you have to define what kind of an angel you're talking about when you're talking to me.
A supernatural being that
So you're
God.
saying a supernatural angel. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So how does if it's just a messenger, how does the messenger not die?
You have to tell me the verse that you're talking about.
Well, are you at Colossians 1:16?
Yeah,
No,
I'm
you're
still
talking
there.
about you're talking about different.
I know, but I want to show you the context of this verse that Rob brought up.
Sure.
You tell me. So my question would be, do you have it in front of you?
I do not have anything in front of me. I'm entirely relying on you two to teach me.
Okay. So here's what it says, and I'll read it again. For by him all things were created that are in heaven and that are on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. So my question is, in context, where are the thrones, dominions, principalities, or powers?
In context, for me, I would say the thrones, principalities, and all these things, they would be like Caesar Nero.
So they're on earth. All of them are on earth.
Of course they are, because like seriously.
Let's read it again then. For by him all things were created that are in heaven and that are on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. So,
Right, and what
in
do you
context,
mean?
he's saying that he created thrones, dominions, principalities, and powers in the heavens
Correct.
and on earth.
Oh no, see, like, see now you
Yeah.
have to right here. See, this is where the crux of it is. You have to define what you mean before we go into this by what you mean by heaven.
Not earth.
Seriously,
Not earth.
Why would it be
I
the
wouldn't define
sky?
that as I would not define that as what you guys are talking about. Not at all.
Well,
Ephesians
if you're gonna define it as sky, I mean,
Nope. I'm not even talking about anything about the sky. Has nothing to do with the sky. Not even close. Like you guys are way
so you're
off.
just gonna say heaven and earth is Jerusalem.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Heaven being the higher ups, the lowers being earth. Hear me this day, heaven and earth. Was he talking? Who was he talking to?
So now you've got another problem. Visible and invisible.
Uh-oh. Okay, visible and invisible. That's just telling you, like, doesn't matter, like, principalities, powers. Like, so you got a king, like, that's an invisible power, right? Like,
So
you see
how
the
hard you're
king.
fighting?
You see the king. No, I'm not trying very hard. Like, it really
Yes, you
doesn't.
are. You're trying really hard.
No, I'm not. You're trying.
No, I'm just
We're
reading
just
it.
trying to help you out, Albert.
Oh, my bad. I admit defeat, everybody. I'm so sorry for wasting your time. This concludes all of the hangouts. We've finally learned the truth. And anybody else have anything to say before we peace out eternally?
I won't make a comment on the on that aspect or some other thoughts, but I mean, trying to think what else we could do here.
what do you mean? What else we could do? We could make fur coats. We could.
Though I speak
Just-
with the tongues of men and of angels.
We could speak with the pontiff himself. Like, let's hit up the Vatican. Why not?
Which verse is that?
Everybody send the Vatican an email.
1 Corinthians 13:1. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels.
Yeah, what does that mean? See, you're
Yeah,
taking
angels
it
have
like
no
that
meaning.
angels have their own kind of speech. So I could be like, how about no, I'm talking an angel speech. But
There you
men
go.
can't even. I feel you. But I'm just saying, like, why? Like, what is the Lord really this ridiculous that he would allow this level of shenanigans to go on? Like, what?
See, I think you should take it up with God.
I don't have to take anything up. I have already taken it up with you. And he said that y'all are mistaken. He didn't actually say that because I didn't hear any voices or anything.
I
But no,
think
seriously, I'm just trying to find out the truth, just like the rest of
you.
you guys.
Most
Sorry.
assuredly I say to you, hereafter you shall see heaven open, and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man.
Okay, were you here for the time where we went over like the whole dream about Jacob and the angels ascending and descending? And I said that was an illusion or whatever you want to call it to the temple and the priests going up and down in the temple.
Jesus even says, most assuredly. That's you shall see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man.
And who did he say that to?
His disciples.
so. How about what you were saying, the context earlier when I brought up the angels? Who are they or what are they that can't die? It's referring to the resurrection, comparing your resurrection to angels. So the angels can't be people.
Thank you. I'm not saying I win, but +1 for me.
How do you figure?
You said people can be angels.
No, I said they can't with a NT.
No, they can be angels because they're messengers. Hey, Peter, I have bad news to you. Your debt note is late, and you're gonna lose your house because of it.
No, I'm not saying all the
That's
time. I'm not going all the
I'm an
time.
angel now.
Can't be. I'm saying in specific to
Am I
this verse.
am I an evil angel or am I a righteous angel? I mean, you do owe the debt, right? Or am I just making this up because I'm an evil angel and I'm like God created angels with the ability to rebel and they're going to screw us over, and now we have to pay the penalty for these stupid idiots' shenanigans. Like,
See,
that doesn't make any sense to
that's where
me.
I'm going. Your whole premise is based off of that. Let's just throw that
Yeah,
out of the
my
water
whole
for a
premise
while.
is like, why are we
Throw
gonna be
throw that out of the water. Just say Genesis 6 is men. Say we all give that to you. Let's say Genesis 6 is men. It's not angels. Now let's just throw that out the water and look at everything else about angels in this context. Luke 20:36, starting with what's that?
Go ahead.
We'll start in verse 20 or 35. But they which shall be accounted worthy to tame that world, and the resurrection from the dead, neither marry nor given in marriage, neither can they die any more, for they are equal unto the angels, and are the children of God, being the children of the resurrection.
Thank you for falling into the trap. Because they're equal to the angels and they can no longer die. That doesn't mean that they're supernatural beings and they can't be killed. That's not what it's saying at all. It's saying, like, first off, the
That's what you argued
angels,
against
the
them.
messengers of God, the high priests and the priests did have different marriage rules in order to keep their name going. And that was what this whole thing was all about. Like,
Oh, I can't
Yeah,
wait
but
for the
this is
resurrection.
talking about the resurrection.
yeah, and in the rest,
Aren't you excited, Rob, about the resurrection that you'll be just like the Pharisees?
in the resurrection, they don't do that. They don't do like how they used to do because that's how the rules were.
Oh man.
There's hope for us, Alan. Hope for you, Albert. Hope
No,
for
there's no
me.
hope for me. I'm fucking doomed. Sorry, guys. By the way, do you want ownership of the group, Rob?
Why?
Just curious. Do you want ownership of the group?
I don't really want ownership or anything. I just want to be a partaker.
You don't want to run the meetings every week? You don't want to do anything like that?
I mean, I'm always open to helping out.
I'm just curious. What if I wanted to quit?
Well, we'd prefer that you don't, but I mean, why were you thinking that?
That's a great expression. I'd prefer that you don't. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not quitting. I just had to mess with you for a second.
You provide a great service, Albert.
Well, only if you guys come. If you guys don't come, then there's nothing. And if nobody disagrees, there is still no disagreement. Then there's no reason again. So, like, it's better that we disagree than that we all agree, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but that can't be your motivation to get
You
the
mean that
hangout
kid?
going.
Don't tell me what my motivation can and cannot be.
Well, your motivation should be for truth, right?
It is. My motivation is for the truth. And so if everybody has a different opinion and they give me 60 different ways of how I can look at it, that's way better in my mind than just two people telling me what they think about it.
Right, but when you rather have, I hear what you're saying. If everyone came to the truth, then there'd be no more meeting. I hear what you're saying there.
Yeah, basically something like that. So, like, whatever, we might disagree on this, that, the other thing, whatever, screw it. Let's go on to the next topic. But we now know, as long as you can note it down in your copybook, that that's a disagreement. We can iron out those, if you will, using metaphors again. We're going to iron them out. We're not going to literally iron them out, right?
Let's see,
Sorry,
my
I grew up listening to a lot of Weird Al Yankovic. Forgive me.
well, my goal for the hangout is that more that we get lesson or overcome these objectives or arguments, so we get on one mind, so that we can more get to the encouragement on how to live like Christ and encourage one another. I know Matthew says enjoys the theological debates, which I do as well, but I would rather get more to about what it means to live like Christ. But we haven't really got there in the 2 or 3 years, and when I do try to bring it up, not many want to talk about it. It seems to bore them.
You don't have a voice that interrupts enough. You got to be like, oh, you were talking about something? I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you and tell you.
I will take over.
And you just have to out-talk them. You just have to be louder. No, seriously.
You got the Sam Kinison. That's who you're going after. You guys remember him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you do have the entire Discord. You are the commander of that. So, and by the way, you can make multiple voice chats as well. So, like, I need you to make one that is Orladin's something about me that you guys like would make a joke about me. Right? Orladin's like unicorn factories. Like, you guys pick the name.
Why would we do that? We love you, brother.
Because then if you want to talk to me, then you can go in there. I'll be in there all the time.
Have one that we could just join in. I see what you're saying. Because you're online quite a bit.
I'm online all the time. What are you talking about? I'm asleep sometimes, but then like sometimes it's like bloop, bloop. I'm like, dang you, Discord, I hate you. And then you're trying to sleep.
I turn off all my notifications on everything pretty much, other than maybe just a couple things. Because it's hard to sleep with you if you got too many notifications going.
Yeah, because it's just like bloop, bloop.
I guess you can turn that off. You can do the whatchamacallit.
No, that's what I usually do. I turn it off.
Yeah. But I will look into that Daniel some more and the angels things. I'm definitely on board with a lot of things you said.
Yeah. No, by the way, yeah, definitely. Seriously, I meant that. I really do want to do that. Like, I want to look into this. So if you want to join in, Rob, you can. More than one.
Yeah, the book of Enoch.
With the Enoch, the whole book of Enoch, and like just looking at it with a different lens. Like, I'll bring the different lens, and you guys, maybe I'll let you look it through it one time, maybe twice.
Yeah.
We'll see. Oh, who knows? Because maybe you might be bringing a golden nugget. Because I was always like, Book of Enoch is trash, it's garbage, right? But maybe I'll at least admit, like, maybe I'm missing something. So I'm willing to look
You
again,
have to admit the 10,
right?
10 is pretty. I mean, it's pretty
I'm,
spot on.
but the point is, I'm willing to look again. So
Well, good. And I'm willing too. Let's look at it.
right, and so that would be even better for you to be there, because then you can tell me, like, when I'm having a retard mode and I'm like, oh, I don't know what this means. You can be like, oh, this is, and I'll be like, oh, good call. Right. I don't know. I just think that, like, two minds is better than one, right?
For sure.
I can't believe you guys are still here. Like, it's freaking like 12 past 12. You guys are still here.
11:30 here.
Yeah, same here. But
Oh, you guys are on a different time zone. No wonder. You cheating, suck guys. Are you cheating?
well, we lost an hour of sleep with daylight savings time.
Oh no, we didn't. Oh, no wonder. I was like, why is my clock off in my car?
So, Rob, you had, your version of Enoch was about spot on. What you showed me. I think.
Yeah, that was I've looked at different versions or different comprehensions of that. The one what's his name? Uh, Something he goes by not Elijah or I can remember he's on YouTube and he's kind of Hebrew roots only gentleman. I can't remember. You probably know who I'm talking about. See if I can find it here. He has a good interpretation of like who the ox are and who the different animals are in there.
Oh yeah, the bulls and different things.
Yeah, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember that, but it's kind of a little bit. I put a comment, and he's like, "Oh, no, no person of your race is going to teach me," type thing, of my race type thing, and I'm like, well, I'm just trying to share the Bible a little bit. Arrogant in that aspect, but he had a lot of good information, so I wasn't gonna try to bring division. I just like, oh, sorry.
Racist, are we?
Yeah, I guess. But I think I don't think they're doing it intentionally. I think they're thinking the Bible's more in their favor. The 12 tribes of Israel type thing. So they think it's God behind them. So then, I can see where they're coming from.
Yeah, they're definitely confused.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're all confused at one point in time, and
That's what I'm saying. I think, I really think God, I think he's just going to pour out the Spirit. I really do think Joel, what is it, Joel 2? I think it's dual prophecy. I think there's two last days. The last days of Israel and the last days of the world. Before Jesus came in 30, there was silence for 400 years. Nothing from the Lord. No prophet, no word, nothing. And you could all probably imagine the people of Israel were thinking, where is God? What's the deal? And all of a sudden he shows up in the flesh and then pours out his spirit and all these miracles, signs, and wonders. And you got the 40 years of amazing, amazing display of God's glory and power. And we're kind of in the same boat. 2,000 years have passed, and it's like, where is God? What is the deal? Why is it? And then all of a sudden, I think in 2030, he's going to show up, pour out his spirit.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of verses that kind of support that in aspect. The one where it says he's long suffering, I think in 1 Peter 3, and then also Matthew 25, where it says after a long while,
Mm-hmm.
Came the master, which is a little bit different than full preterism. Everything's about to happen or near or short. There isn't a lot for us to hang our hats on, but we have to be able to be willing to look either way.
Yeah. Well, I personally believe that God's going to give more scripture.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that, so that would be interesting.
Obviously, we can't do it now because no one's inspired.
Where do you get that from, though? I'm curious because as far as I can tell, there's a verse in Daniel, guy which says that to bring an end to the prophecy, to the vision, and all this jazz. So there can't be any more prophecies
Well, that's not
after.
true. It's to seal up vision and prophecy, but it's in context. It's related to the coming of the Messiah.
But if he did come in 70 AD or 66 or somewhere in there,
No,
then
the first coming in 30.
oh, okay, all right. So 30.
Yeah.
That's the first time when he was alive, when he was in front of Pontius Pilate and stuff.
It's I think it's hyperbole. It's kind of like when John the Baptist came, Jesus said of him that John the Baptist came to restore all things. Well, he didn't restore all things. Otherwise, Jesus wouldn't. If he restored all things, then he didn't. We don't need Jesus. Obviously,
Well,
that's
yeah, again, I agree with you. What does it mean, restore all things? Like,
exactly.
restore all of what things? Like, did you
Yeah,
steal all my cookies? Are you replenishing my cookie jar? What's going on?
yeah. It's a contextual statement that has to do with what was going on at that time. He restored people back to looking toward the Father, toward repenting. Jesus is the one that restored all things. If you're wanting to talk about all things,
Right. So if he restored all things back then, why today, 2,000 years later, should I care about anything?
because he's about to release Satan, and Satan's going to deceive the nations again.
Why do I even care about some Scrigglebot that doesn't exist, in my opinion?
You will care once God shows you, but I know you don't care now. But once God shows you, you will care.
Is Satan the coronavirus?
No,
Because right now, that's our biggest adversary, isn't it? You're saying, oh, Satan was not behind this? Oh, no, because, like, what do you mean he wasn't behind this? How could he not be behind this?
because he's still bound.
What? Since when?
70.
Yeah, he's
Seven.
going by Revelation 20, so Revelation 19.
So you're right. See, so in this scenario, the one you're talking about, you have to take the 1,000 years as being a literal 1,000 years.
No, not a little thousands. Does the book of Enoch mention anything about Satan being bound?
No, but it does mention the Watchers being bound until 70 AD.
They must be his minions. Because that was the question that I wrote down like a half hour ago. I was like, so all right, let's suppose Satan is bound.
Mhm.
What about his minions? That was my question.
Are his
They
minions?
aren't bound, are they?
Yeah.
Doesn't say that they are.
Well, he uses his minions to deceive the world. So yeah, his
But if
activity.
he's wait, think about this though. So if he's bound, if Satan himself is bound, but his minions are able to carry out his will regardless, is Satan bound?
Yeah, and that's my point. They can't.
No, Satan is not bound. Then he's still having his will done, even though it doesn't matter if you tie him up. It's like, oh yeah, let's put the mafia boss in prison. But can he still give orders and send out hits? Yeah, he still can, because you didn't do anything here. He's not bound. There's no binding here. So what, you put him in prison doesn't mean a thing.
Well, according to the word, that all those that survive the battle have to submit and obey the Lord.
Right, but do you see my point?
All I see is that Satan was bound, and that his influence is
Who
no
is Satan to you? See, that's the thing. Who is Satan to you? That's what everything rides on.
longer. Satan is that angel that was the top angel in heaven, but he rebelled against God.
Is it possible for you to look at him, at this being, as something different? Or are you always going to see him as this guy who's an angel who rebelled against God?
I think the evidence is overwhelming in the word that he's definitely an angel that rebelled against God.
Fair enough.
I don't believe his name is Satan. We just call him Satan, the great Satan, or whatever.
I don't think there's a lot of evidence that he rebelled against God. I think there's evidence by like terms saying like, he what is against God, but as far as
Well,
evidence him going against God, I don't think there's a lot of evidence.
I've read a lot of apocryphal books that
Hmm.
very strike me and a majority of people as inspired, and they go into great detail about it.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. But I mean, if you're just going to use the Bible alone, I don't think there's much evidence of him going against God.
Well, right. It says because of pride, he fell. He wanted to be like the Most High. He would not bow down to the Lord. Or really, he wouldn't bow down to Adam and Eve. Is what the problem was.
I could see a man doing that. Be like, you know what? I'm so great. I'm the king of the world. I'm the king of Babylon. I rule and own everything and everywhere that is known.
That did happen.
Don't you think that's me being a little bit full of myself? Don't you think God would maybe knock me down a peg if I thought such things? If I actually was the king of Babylon?
God is consistent. He'll do that with man. He'll do
Yeah,
that.
he would totally knock you down a peg, right?
Yeah, just like Tower of Babel.
That was a few pegs, but yeah, totally.
That was That was a.
I'm gonna call it an evening, so I can gotta get up in the morning.
Yeah, it's getting late.
What do you mean you're gonna call it an evening?
I'm gonna read a little bit more, look into some of the more silly stuff, and then I'm gonna go to bed.
Well,
sounds good.
Albert, look up
Yeah.
the first chapter. Maybe the first. We'll do the first 2 chapters of Enoch.
You want to do that? When do you want to do that? You got a time, date?
No, but
all right. Yeah, just hit me up on the Discord. Just private message.
Just be looking at it.
When do you normally work, Alan?
Where do I work?
No, and when, like, what time of the day do you normally?
I work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay, gotcha. So maybe in the evening so maybe Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, Thursday evening sometime we can all
Monday
get together.
Thursday, I'm usually available. Usually.
So I can't do it tomorrow because I got to do something, but let's see. Maybe Wednesday we can do some more Enoch.
It's fine. Me and Alan are gonna make all the progress without you.
All right.
Just read it so you'll have an idea of what well, what it's going to say or what's coming.
What are we gonna do? Just the first two chapters?
Let's do the
Yeah,
first
that's what he
chapter.
said. Yeah, just first two chapters of
Okay.
Enoch. Wait,
Okay.
which Enoch? We got to be specific. Enoch 1, 2, 3.
One.
Enoch 1.
Enoch 1. Okay. All right.
All right, I'll read it too, Lord willing.
Cool.
All right, night, brothers.
Right.
Weird. Night night.